What up, though? Welcome to episode 97 of the TFW podcast. Matt here, Rhodesia here, Eshaun here. We are going to get to this thing in record time. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said, fuck your story. I got to finish being the head of the table. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson heard everything Cody Rhodes said when he showed up to SmackDown. Cody was back there talking cash money. Hey, I'm going to shake his hand. You know, I love that he's here, but it don't change my position. Hey, Cody Rhodes. Newsflash, buddy. Back of the line, pal. Back of the damn line. We want to talk about finishing stories. Cody Rhodes, his thing is, I got to finish the story. We've been hearing Cody Rhodes talk about finish the story about 2 years now.
Yeah.
This is the story we've been waiting for 4 years. We can go deeper than that. When The Rock came back to help Roman Reigns in Philadelphia at the Royal Rumble and he got booed out the building, we've been asking for it. Next time a hater tells you, but what about Cody Rhodes' story? You know what you tell him? Shut the fuck up, it's The Rock. That's what you tell a hater. Eshaun. Shut the fuck up, it's The Rock. I pass it to you, my good man. How does the Cody contingent feel on this beautiful, beautiful day that he may not get a chance to finish his story again at WrestleMania?
You know, all this classic trolling that you're doing, you're going to mess it up for all the fans because we ain't gonna end up getting this match. All this negative vibe and trolling that you're doing on Twitter. And, you know, I almost unfollowed my own goddamn account that I set up, right? Because, see, this is Matt trolling and being the heel because, you know, I originally set that Twitter account up, was going to run it. Matt said, nah, hey, I'm going to log in a couple times. And all of a sudden, he just took it over. And he took it over and turned it into a troll account. So, look, I hope that we actually get this match. I'm not 100% certain we're going to get this Roman and Reigns match at Mania. But I'm not totally against it, though. Not totally against it.
Yes, I thought you would have said the opposite of that. Come on. We needed this last year. But okay, yeah. we got it this year. So be it. And when The Rock came out, and I knew he was coming out. When The Rock came out, I'm like, yes, we're going to beat Hogan's record. We're going to beat the Race's record. That's all I could think of. So even more important than finishing the story. And yet, young Rock tell it, Roman been wanting to finish the story for 25 years, if you watch that episode of Young Rock. So let's go. That story is almost older than Cody's been living. Let's go. But we get to break the Race's Hogan record. Let's do this. I'm so excited.
When you see a hater and they tell you between now and WrestleMania, but what about Cody? Cody's the number one merch seller for the majority of the year. Cody has put his time in. Cody lost last year so he could be crowned this year. You know what you tell him?
I'm not going to use an explicit, but...
Shut the fuck up, it's The Rock. All right. Let's get to the seriousness of what we saw on Monday Night Raw. First off, I thought the promo sucked. I thought it was horrible. I was over it. And I was like, yo, this is really, really bad. I love Jinder coming out. And what a spot for Jinder. Shout out to Jinder for him to be able to, I don't know, I'm not going to say he was thrown into that spot, but that segment felt like it came together maybe like within the last week or so, maybe even when Triple H sent that tweet out. I guess it was last Friday, saying that, you know, there are negotiations for a former world champion to show up on Raw. It had that feeling. It had that feeling of, hey, we got The Rock. He signed on for whatever he signed on for. Wouldn't make sense. And they put Jinder in there, and Jinder showed he is the ultimate professional, because for him to come out there ice cold like that, still get good heel reaction. And that's something else I put on X2 was the reaction to Jinder showed just how far and how much truth, or I should say trust equity, WWE has built with their fan base. If you go back and watch when they're cutting to the fans, Jinder's music hits, and there's not a lot of anger. There's some people laughing. There's some people who are just like, are you kidding me? But there wasn't any anger. You know, when Jinder started talking, it wasn't overly booing or this sucks or any of that. And I think because they knew, like, all right, this is not it. There's no way they made this big of a deal for Jinder Mahal. So I think that's a really, really good thing for WWE. They're starting to build up what we were always told back in the day is let the story play out. Let it play out. Let it play out. We were told that and got screwed over many times for let it play out. But I think they're getting to a point which is good that now you can let things play out. So Rock comes out there and they're doing this whole USA thing. Miss me with that. This is not 1970s, 80s. Like, I don't know why, but okay, whatever. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this sucks. So I'm going to wait till we get to the physicality. Get to the physicality. And for me, I would say the promo sucking before the last line is what made the last line even better. I don't know if Jinder came out there, said his thing, Rocks hits the ring with piss and vinegar, hits him with a rock bottom, hits him with the people's elbow, and says, I'm here to be the head of the table. I don't think it hits the same. I think it hit as good as it did because we just watched 20 minutes of hokey, best, greatest hits of Dwayne Johnson saying his things, and then out of nowhere, he hits that line of, hey, I'm going out to eat. Where should I sit? And all you need to know is if this match is the dream match in wrestling, is just the reaction of the crowd when he hit that head of the table line. Still didn't say Roman's name. Still didn't say anything about the bloodline. Just finishes with, that's what I thought too, or something to that effect. I absolutely loved it. It was hard for me to even focus in on the rest of the show because, like, after that one line, nothing before that one line mattered and nothing after that one line mattered. Because at that point, that told us this match is happening. And then they double down when Michael Cole comes back from commercial break and he says, Paul Heyman called Roman Reigns. So now we know it's happening. Let's kind of get into, you hit on it a little bit. Give me your best case scenario, where it happens, when it happens, and then the result.
We're talking about a Rock and Roman? Run
Yes.
it by me one more time.
So we know now it's going to happen. We don't know where, we don't know when. We know it's going to happen, though. Give me your best case scenario in terms of all parties involved. So now we can have the true, real conversation of Cody. Right? If you think Cody should still be the main event of WrestleMania, I have no problems with that. So, of course, I started the show just joking around. But give it to me. Do you think now that Rock has signed on to do this, because there's no way he hasn't, do you have to have that match at WrestleMania? Or, as I said on X before Rock was even on Raw, you can have that match at Elimination Chamber in front of 60, 70,000 people, whatever it is, and still get to Roman and Cody night 2 at WrestleMania.
Gosh, guys, like, call me a pessimist, but I'm not 100% there with Rock doing anything long term or even short term with the company just as of yet. Right? I feel like they will make it a bigger deal by now if that was the case. I hope so. So let's play along. I'm kind of with Rhodesia and where she said that I think we needed this match last year because the table was being set for the story. Roman, the bloodline was white hot, right? And, we had, I can't remember the actual scenario, the storyline. I think there's supposed to be the tribal trial or something like that. And, we were fan booking that the entire family was going to be there. And
definitely Rikishi.
Rikishi said he would be there.
Rikishi.
We thought the whole fam was going to be out there and they're going to be put on trial. And then all of a sudden, there's going to be kind of a line of them. And we're going to hear the Rock's music. If you smell, and he's going to come walking out and, walking through the line. And there's going to be eye to eye. It's going to be Roman. And it's going to be the Rock head to head. And they're going to battle it out for the championship and the head of the table crown at Mania. That's what we expected to see happen. And it didn't happen, right? But what happened was an awesome plan B. And I think maybe it was a plan 1B, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we got that with Cody. Perfect opportunity. Right now, Roman and the bloodline, they're not white hot. Now, I'm not saying they can't get there between now and Mania season, right? Because it's The Rock, it's Roman, of course, right? But the table was set.
Mm-hmm.
It was there for them a year ago. So now they got to reset the table. those two greats can do it. But man, sometimes it's kind of like you think about a barbecue pit, right? And you got that right before the fire goes out, you got that little window where you can kind of get it hot again, right? You can get it, the whites hot again. And if you miss that window, it's just not there for the rest of the night, right? And I think that's what we got last year. Best case scenario to answer your question might be, man, I was thinking about it last night. Is there a way we can get that belt off Roman before Mania?
Yes,
because that would need to happen for me as a fan. I just constantly can't sit another year with a seasonal world champion because Roman right now, he's not part-time, he's seasonal. He's that seasonal employee you see.
He's part-time.
Maybe you see him one season, you might not see him next season, but you're gonna see him maybe once or twice or whatever it is, right? He ain't even part-time anymore. I don't know if I can sit through that as my champion for another year, knowing that's the destination we're getting to is just to beat some record that I personally don't care about. Like, I can't do it. So for me to be super happy with it, because we got to have the Rock and Roman. That's one of the next great matches. That's one of the future matches that we need to have. If I can get Rock and Roman maybe in a main event slot for the crown, for the head of the table, without the championship being on the line, that would be great. Maybe I get Cody versus a CM Punk or somebody of that nature for the Undisputed Championship to add some more sizzle to that steak. That would be the perfect environment for me. But we need to have that Rock and Roman match ASAP because, The Rock, he still looks great, but the man's damn near 60, right? We got to get there sooner than later.
So what was your exact question, Matt?
Give me your best case scenario in protecting everybody involved. When and where would you want to see Rock and Roman? And what's the result from it? Thinking about the work Cody's put in this past 2 years in WWE, being the number one face of the company. So not screwing him over. If you look at him not finishing the story in Philly as screwing him over. Because there's absolutely a way you can get there, and we can talk about that afterwards, of how you can make this kind of all work for everybody, hopefully, maybe, sometimes, but just that thought on that piece.
Can I ask a quick question before I do that? Because it just popped in my head. How out of the box, how great of an idea or how stupid of idea is it possible Roman can main event both nights? One against
Absolutely,
Cody.
that's possible.
Once again, Cody, and then on night 1 and night 2, he loses the tribal. Well, again, I don't think Roman's going to lose his match against Rock. So let's be clear there. But I can see the points where Rock and Roman, it doesn't need to be for the title. The head of the table is enough. That is the prize. So I can get behind someone saying, well, Roman shouldn't be holding it then. I really want him to break this Hogan record. I really, really do, if I haven't made that clear already. But I think maybe we can get Roman 2 nights, one against Cody, so he can finish his story, and then one against The Rock. Otherwise, it would be just Rock and Roman at Mania. I wouldn't want it beforehand. Elimination Chamber is in February. That's
February 24th in Australia.
No Way Out. I would imagine that those tickets already went on sale and they probably have already sold out, right?
I can't find ticket. So I was pulling it up while you guys were talking. I cannot find ticket sales information. It is in a stadium, and the capacity is only 2,000 less than in Philadelphia. So, the other part, real quick, the other part to Elimination Chamber is the event is being put on in partnership with the local government in Australia.
I don't know if that's any different than any other big sporting event. So, I mean, it sounds grand to me, but is that any different than like a UFC going to Australia?
Well, don't look at it like UFC. Let's keep it to wrestling. That's like WrestleMania.
Okay.
So a lot of people, when I put not a lot, it was a couple people, and hopefully I'm right because I got receipts. When I made the comment of, man, just think about what we're getting in January. CM Punk's first return match on pay-per-view in 10 years in the Rumble. Jade in the Rumble. Whoever else surprises. February, we get Rock and Roman. And then Mania, we get Jay versus Jimmy. You get Rock and Cody. You get Punk and Seth. You get Gunther and Brock. Like, oh my God, right? So they are set up. So we got to stop this thought of, and there was a couple people were just like, Rock and Roman has to happen at Mania. Like, they're not doing it at a throwaway pay-per-view. There are no such things as throwaway PLEs anymore in WWE, especially when they're in stadiums. So we got to kind of, that's that legacy thinking of us thinking like, hey, there's only a big four. They've shown this year, hell, Backlash was one of the top pay-per-views of the year, and that was a Backlash show. My only issue with what you said, Rhodesia, and hey, we can have fun with just, this is what we do as fans, is throw it out there, spitball, and see what, if you go back to back,
right?
Cody would have to win night one. That completely hurts Rock Roman night two. Completely hurts it because he's already lost. Yep,
he has out. And then here's the thing about it. Like, let's stay in canon with this, man. This seasonal ass ninja don't want to work. He gonna work 2 nights.
He's a naysayer.
He gonna work 2 nights. He ain't worked 2 matches in 6 months. Now he gonna work it back to back.
That's MJF. That's how he was at first.
This man ain't back to backing. He ain't going back to back like Drake. He's seasonal.
That's funny because so you could do that. They can find a way. But we talked a couple weeks ago about embarrassment of riches. Oh my God, you were already set up to have the best WrestleMania card in history, and now you throw The Rock in Mania season. That's unheard of. Knock on wood, nobody else gets hurt. You know, Charlotte's out, 6 to 9 months, whatever it is, but holy hell. So then for me, I would say there's a way to see the head of the table part is what this whole thing was about. So you don't have to have the title.
Right.
Or head in the table. So Rhodesia, you ask, can you have this match without the title? And yes. And what that is somehow Cody gets the title at Elimination Chamber. Him and Roman main event Elimination Chamber in front of 70,000 plus. And then that still gives you over a month to build Rock Roman. Now, does Rock interfere and cost Roman the match? That can happen, and now you got your heat. Because if Roman was to lose to Cody without a Rock interference, then it's like, I don't really care about Rock. The reason why we want Rock and Roman so much is because Roman is in his God mode. He's been talking about it for years. I'm in God mode. He's untouchable. But we know at the end of the day, that Samoan dynasty begins and ends with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that's so important. But they can throw any type of storyline out, and we're invested. We're biting because it's The Rock. Once again, shut the fuck up. It's The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different ways they can go with it. I think whatever they do will be fine. And what I mean by that is if Cody has to eat that sideline again, you got to take it, man. It's The Rock. Punk had an issue with Rock coming back at Mania, New York, where him and Taker didn't go on last. It's The Rock, man. You're going to get so much press. And so Eternal, one of our guys on X, had sent a message and said, last night, said, what doesn't make sense is how you're going to do The Rock versus Roman at 4 a.m. Eastern time. This is considering if it's on Elimination Chamber. He said the amount of press you're missing out on, if that happens, how do you all feel about that? So let's go with that scenario. That it's going to be Rock and Roman in Australia, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Are you getting your return on investment? Now, we know Rock's going to be getting paid millions of dollars to make that trip, especially if the local government is involved. I'm sure they're going to make sure that this is well worth everybody's time. But from a fan perspective and perception, does that even matter? Because I would argue that doesn't matter. I would argue if something is hot enough, i.e. these Saudi shows, and yes, 4 a.m. is completely different than noon. I get that. But there's going to be, people are going to be calling off work to watch this. Nobody's missing Rock versus Roman live. You're not. So, but what's your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm going to be clear and say that I want Rock Roman. I'm one of your legacy people that you just claimed to say. I want that at Mania. To me, that is only Mania. Now, sure, this Elimination Chamber has the Mania feels because of how big their stadium is at. The government's involved in it. But to me, Rock Roman has to be at Mania. That is your Super Bowl. This is not your Super Bowl light. This is your Super Bowl. That is your 2 biggest names. Got to be there. So that's how I feel about that.
At the expense of Cody Rhodes, right? So Cody, sorry, you're on the sideline for your big moment that
No, because Cody, because now what you just said there, I like the story of Cody Roman at Elimination Chamber. Cody winning it, finishing his story there, and then now Roman's pissed because Rock messed it up for him. So I can see that.
Okay.
Actually, I agree with Rhodesia. I think that Rock and Roman, that's one of the few dream matches that WWE still has that can be
only kind of right.
And
well, besides anything Punk related,
yeah,
and Stone Cold, right? Stone Cold, yeah. He's still, if he can go another match, right? Stone Cold, Rock are 2 guys, darn near 60, but they look great, right? And they can work with guys that can make them look great, incredible in the ring still, right? That has to be at a Mania. Like, I remember as a kid, I used to love back in the day with the WrestleMania boxes, the old VHS WrestleMania. I remember I had them lined up. I don't think I have them anymore. God damn it. But I used to have them. I think I just bought them just so I could add to the collection. I love that. And you had the picture of, Hogan and Andre, etc. I wish I still was into that. I would love to see, WrestleMania, whatever it is, Rock and Roman, head to head. That would be amazing, right? And just have that box with Elimination Chamber in Australia. All the love and peace to people in Australia, but that just doesn't hit the same to me. Like, right now, I just thought in my mind, like, man, how can we get, if this is the plan, and this, I'm still skeptical, because if if The Rock were to come back, even at Elimination Chamber, that's coming up, he would have had to been training for some time, right?
Now,
one excuse a year ago, right?
Thank you for setting me up.
Right before we get to a year ago, he needed time to get into wrestling shape. So
allegedly, right? Allegedly. So reason why I said thank you for saying that, because during that press run last year, they had asked Heyman about, hey, Rock had talked about, there were rumors that Rock may be coming at Hollywood, but he wasn't ready, or whatever the case may be. And Heyman had said, so you're telling me you don't think The Rock could take 6 weeks and put on the awesome performance that he would need to do, that he's proud of his legacy, of the Samoan legacy with Roman Reigns? You're out of your mind. Elimination Chamber is 7 weeks from this week. So to that point, because my man was gassed by the end of that promo. By the end of that promo, by the time he dropped, and some of it I'm sure is just, he showed the goosebumps, which every time I see that, just is like, wow, you still get goosebumps. How awesome is that? But yeah, he's got to work on his cardio. But to that point, he's got 7 weeks. If we end up doing Chamber, if we don't do Chamber, hell, we got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks.
Hey, but that's Paul Heyman selling on what The Rock can do. Only Rock know what he can do, right? He look, hey, Paul Heyman ain't in there doing that, right? He ain't. If he think he only needs 6 weeks to get in ring, that's him. Maybe The Rock think he needs more, right? Because last time The Rock was in well, not the last time, but one of the times he damn near blew a quad or something like that, right?
Now
I
didn't look like Shane. Remember when
that match.
This was probably like 2 times ago that he came back and the match was over. Homeboy was asking for bottles of water. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I was like, the Rumble.
Sir,
he did a couple times.
We can see you.
We can see you. This is not a movie. You didn't call a cut.
So that's why I'm a little skeptical on him getting ready that soon. But let's say let's get the Mania, right? And let's get the title off Roman. Okay, we gotta get that title off Roman. Is there a way on a Raw that Cody somehow wins the Money in the Bank contract from Damien Priest, and Cody calls his shot for a match? Like, hey, I'm not gonna jump you. I'm not coming out after you lose. A match. Hell, Roman, we can't get you in the ring anyway. Like, right? I'm cashing a contract for Elimination Chamber and one of the biggest shows in Australia's history. Show up on SmackDown, sign the dotted line. Is that a way we can get him there?
Absolutely. And that's the good thing about this, is that's why I say I think everybody's going to be fine. it may not be perfect for everybody, but they're not going to, unless Triple H legit has some issues with Cody for breaking that throne at the first ever AEW pay-per-view. Unless that's the case, and we know it's not. I think this will be fine, but I love that idea. And then I also thought about, what if they could use this in a storyline? But the problem with doing that is that could turn Rock heel to Cody fans, and you don't want to do that. Because this could be a slight change of character. Don't turn him heel, of course, but it could be a slight change of character until he gets to, I'm tired of being screwed. First it was this, then Cody, it was this, then it was this. You know what I mean? But I don't think they'll go there. But I'll tell you what, and I had tweeted it last night doing Raw. You could see it. I don't care what nobody says. You could see it on Cody. When he came out there with that, for that Shinsuke promo, he looked a little off. And I said it, he looked stressed to me. And then we see Rock show up an hour later and hit that line. Like, oh, that's why he was stressed. It'd be interesting, right? It's going to be really, really interesting. E, you made a comment about Damien Priest, and we can get back to the Rock thing if you guys got anything else. But I know I am critical at times of AEW, and I got to be critical of WWE on the finish of Seth and Drew. Thought the match was great. I actually really enjoyed the setup, and this is where I talk about having somebody and somebody's connected to what hardcore fans think and feel during the show. There was no mention of Damien Priest and or Finn Balor in the entire show. We didn't see him, nothing. Typically, when that happens, your guard is up, especially when one of those people have the Money in the Bank briefcase. So Ivy Now comes out, and I just got hit with this feeling of, man, I think we're going to get a cash in tonight, like a successful cash in tonight. I just had a feeling. And of course, they go with it, and it wasn't successful. But the part that I got to be critical on, and tell me if you guys feel the same.
Nope.
You can still cash in Damien Priest.
Let him answer the question.
Dom Mysterio after the match is over. You don't like it. This isn't a situation where there's a time limit, quote unquote, of cash in. I don't care if it is 9:59 or 10:59 Eastern time. Go put the boots to him, cash that title in or the championship in, and leave. So I thought that was like a really big miss. They showed him just standing there. Leave. Don't show him on camera. Then, am I tripping, or did you guys feel the same way?
Just like, well, I guess the news version of it is the 24/7 championship, but like the hardcore championship, you can get it even when you were making love with your partner. Somebody can bust in that hotel room and pin you for it.
We saw that, right?
Why are we always talking about making love and
busting?
But we did see that.
Yeah, it was. So the point is, what I'm saying is that you are absolutely right. Okay, dang, I'm about to hand you this. It didn't work out quite right, but we are still all out here, and we're probably a little bit more damaged. Seth and Drew is probably a little bit more damaged before you try to come out. You got your boy with you. Come on. But like you said, he looked at the clock and he was like, oh, it's 10:59. We're about to go off in 30 seconds. I'll do it another day.
Yeah, I actually agree with Rhodesia's hot tonight. She's got all the great takes tonight, man. She just got them all tonight. I actually agree. When you watch these matches, in that moment, Seth is weak. That don't mean he's gonna be weak at the end of the match, because these dudes take 1,000 power drivers in the match, and by the end of the match, they done hit 5 or 6 sequences and hit their finish and signatures, and they spry like a chicken, right? So he needs to get his butt. Like, oh, he down now. He took a big match. Let me run up in there, and take this dude's head off and win the championship, because you never know what's gonna happen 5 minutes from now. He's gonna be back. Hey, look, Seth is taking super kicks, bouncing off the rope and hitting finishes. Like, you don't know what's going to happen by the end of that match, right? So Damien knows the Stilo. He knows what's going on. He had to come down there and run out. See, that's how you got to think when you're sneaky. See, I'm not a troll, and I'm not a natural heel, but I am very, very sneaky. And so I understand what he was trying to do. That's what you do, like you were a little ninja. You gotta look for like the little back ways you can get to do things. So I was actually real on point with that. But at the end of that match, when Drew lost, I'm like, this man, he gone. He out of there. And shouts out to my man. Hey, I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, I still can't pronounce your name. I ain't gonna try at this point. My man, Lord. Grix from the Discovery.
We've been running with this for almost a year.
In Discord the other night, he said, "Hey, Drew McIntyre, we'll see you at Wembley and at the next AEW show." That's what it looked like, man. Because he lost. Like, what's next for that man? I know he continue with the story of people taking things from him, right? To continue him spiral down to that mega heel. But man, what's next for him?
That's a great question, and I don't know. I mean, because if this was booking 101, you would say some type of Priest and Drew feud, and I guess that still could happen.
Yeah,
but it's just like I don't know, because I'm not invested in that.
I was gonna say what I will say though about Drew, and I love Drew, but he's at a point right now where I am about to not care for him anymore. So I don't know if this is being done by design or what, because again, I still don't know if he's a good guy, a bad guy, just a regular guy. And I'm starting to lose interest in him. And I love Drew. So they got to figure it out.
That's from him losing all his big matches. That is strictly booking. Because every time he's out there, he maximizes his time.
Sure, yeah.
Albeit a promo, albeit a match.
I hate the sword too. I saw he had the sword again. I'm like, listen, that's the bad luck charm. Throw the sword.
Dedicated to his mama. The sword is named after his mama.
Oh,
I hate the sword.
My bad. I take that all back. Then I'm sorry.
I hate the sword.
Hey, but I will say though, I probably have gone on record and I say that probably 99% of wrestlers I don't want to see in AEW, because I think they need to properly utilize the people that they do have.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never said it. I think the biggest guy they can get would be a Drew Galloway, and that would be his name if he were to go to AEW. I think he'll be the huge star that they need. So if he's on his way out, we don't know, right? He can sign the dotted line and sign for that. Look, the reason why they couldn't give Mercedes that $5 million, could have gave it to Drew. Who knows? Because I would love to see Drew continue on in WWE, and I hope that maybe this is the continued story of him turning to that super mega heel, because he hasn't fully turned yet. Right. Maybe this might be continuing that story of him turning to that ultra monster heel. Because he looks, man, the dude looks fearsome, man. I mean, he's a big ass dude, right?
Mm-hmm. Scary as hell.
This might be a new Drew that we're gonna see soon. Hope that's what it is. But if he were to go to AEW, wow. I mean, if he has the right creative, I think that'd be huge for him.
And he's done the independence thing, and he was fantastic on the indies. Mm-hmm. So he could absolutely rock that style. And I think him being able to kind of work outside of the sandbox would go really, really well for him. He's been around for him. He's a veteran. He can get over if you give him the opportunity. He's over now. We're just saying it just seems like, damn, what's next? Because every big spot they put him in, he loses.
Yeah. Big
spot. I'm so happy. Let me hit this right here. I said 2 weeks ago or so, a week ago, Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch. I said, if Nia Jax does not beat Becky Lynch, I'm going to have a fit. I'm going to lose my mind.
That would fit.
We got it. Kudos to everybody involved. Match was great for one. So shout out to Becky, shout out to Nia for that. But the story they told in that match of Nia hitting those big moves and Becky being the resilient babyface that you just know Becky's going to kick out of and then win. But then them to call back the punch to the face. And she's got the blood. It looks like a blood capsule. But whatever. I don't care if it's fake blood or real blood. We got red. For them to do that callback from 5 years ago, and then for Nia to still hit her finish and leave Becky laying, I thought it was tremendous. I thought it was absolutely tremendous. What'd you guys think?
I'm like, is this WWE or UFC? Because she uppercutted the shit out of her. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
At the end of the match, Cole then makes a comment about who can stop Nia Jax. Y'all remember when I said a few months ago, Nia was being this dominant figure for Jade to bring down the size when she debuts?
Ooh.
Keep a lookout at the Rumble. And we can leave it there.
Bad idea.
It is right on target.
Bad idea.
Tell me more. Why is that a bad
You
idea?
know why? You know what he's about to say. He don't want to see no Nia and Jade in the ring together. not to start with.
Come on, man.
You're gonna get that spot. They'll be able to put in video packages.
Hey, if this was in 2K, great. Okay, yeah, give me a spot.
Yeah, it's a spot.
I don't want to see a match.
Oh, it's not gonna be a one-on-one match.
And here's like you're building up Nia Jax, who looks great, by the way. Like, kudos to her because she looks great. If you're gonna build up that spot, it has to lead to a match. So until they can get in the ring and actually have at least a 5-minute match or something like that, just keep them apart. You don't have to. You have to give away. Like, they have a deep roster. They can hold off on having those two. Because one day, that's going to be a great match. Just think about it. I don't know how strong Jade is, right? But she looks damn strong, right? Just imagine her lifting her up, put her in that the Jaded. The visual of that, right? If she can do that, that'd be great. Hold off until you can deliver the full thing, like, right? But if we're talking about Jade, I know she has, her mom passed, and God bless her and her family. We're talking about, we need to get Jade ready. I don't know. The first time we get her ready is for Nia Jax. So let's just hold off on that moment for maybe another couple months.
Again, I want her in NXT. She could be at the Rumble. We got people that come up to the Rumble all the time from NXT. But I want her to go to NXT. I would just really, really want her to be as fully prepared with all the tools and resources possible at her disposal when she comes up to the main card. Man, I just want her in NXT first.
And wouldn't it be great on those CW ads and commercials to see her as the face of that product?
Absolutely.
Right? I think it'd be amazing.
And I don't think that takes away from her stardom at all. At all. It actually helps protect her. And then, who knows? Maybe she, in this last, Matt keeps saying, put her in the PC for some time. Even if she's not on NXT per se. She'll get some experience there. And maybe she is. Maybe she has catapulted to the next level. But until, like, she's in front of, like, live television, I really wanted to see her in NXT first.
You guys are disrespecting Jade.
I'm not disrespecting
she's been signed
her.
for months now. All right.
I'm not.
Get off of Jade. She looks incredible. She put some photos up from New Year's Eve.
Oh, really?
She looks great. Yeah. Y'all got anything else on Raw? You got anything else you want to hit?
No, just real quick before we leave Raw. I thought about it last night too. I would love to see a couple of tag matches with you got Roman and Jay versus Roman and Solo or Jimmy or whatever it is, just to see like the bloodline going head to head. Another box cover I'd love to have.
You could include Rock. Have Rock in the tag match.
Man, what did I just say? That's what I meant.
You could go Rock. You could go Rock and Jay versus Jimmy
Rock
and
Roman. Jay. Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know what the hell I said. I'm drinking some sleepy time tea. I didn't actually know it was sleepy time actually. So, man,
and then you can have Cody as the special guest referee, and he just turns on everybody.
Oh, yikes!
You know what I'm saying? Turns on everybody.
Icon versus Icon Part 2.
Could
comedy nominator is Rock.
Absolutely could. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe we need to do like a free agency like part of the show every single week. I told you guys 2024 is gonna be crazy. We are a couple days into 2024 and it is already blasting off. Spoiler alert, if you really like surprises and things of that nature, I do want to say that. But we talked about Mercedes on last episode and how it's looking like she's going to be signed to AEW. From what the word is, it's damn near confirmed that unless something massive changes in the last minute, we should be seeing her maybe as early as this week on Dynamite. So that's that, because we kind of already gave our thoughts on Mercedes to AEW. I just hope they treat her and treat this like the major deal that it is, because we know that Tony Khan is going to pay her some significant dollars. And if you don't get that return on investment back because you are not making her one of the faces of the entire promotion and you are not putting significant time in the women's division, it's all for nothing. But the new one just hit today was Trinity. Looks like her time and Impact is about up. And if you have been listening to the show, you've been hearing me kind of just talk about that and plant seeds over the last couple months of how her and WWE's relationship is very good, and sooner or later she'll be back. It looks like she'll be back. Now, I don't know if she signed a year contract. I think it's a little bit less than that because she is advertised for their January show, and she's not advertised for anything after for TNA. So that would make it like a 9-month deal because it showed up in April, which we were at that show. So I think it works for everybody. You know, she was able to come back at her own speed, get back acclimated to making sure she wants to do this. She likes to do it. A lot of eyes on Impact TNA. They utilized her very well. Of course, she's been a champ for the last few months. Now she gets to go back to WWE. So I think everybody wins in this situation. What's your guys' thoughts about the news basically leaking that unless something crazy happens, Trinity's back in WWE here very, very soon?
Good for her, and she could be back with her husband. I know the WWE schedule is nothing like it was 15, 20 years ago. You're not on the road 250 days out of the year, 300 days out of the year. It's a much easier in that aspect as far as schedule. But go back home. We kind of already know the reason why she and Sasha left anyways. It's probably not going to be that way again when she gets back under H's leadership. I actually took it, though, the other way with TNA. I actually felt kind of sad for them because they are going to lose possibly Trinity. They're probably going to lose Deanna. And I'm just thinking.
She's out. She's out of here.
And that's so.
She's another one that I think is going to be on AEW ASAP.
She just needs to be somewhere. That woman can go. So I actually feel kind of bad for TNA. I know you said everybody wins. I guess maybe if you already knew that Trinity was only going to be there for 9 months, yes, you used her to the best of your ability. I give you that for sure. But I feel kind of bad for TNA because they were going in with so much momentum. They're rebranding starting in January, but you're losing 2 of your top women. And they kind of is known for having the best women division. To me, I felt bad for them.
Well, don't forget, Scott D'Amore said that was Hard to Kill here in a couple of weeks. Remember, they're arguably their biggest signing in history. Is happening. So, and all those releases from WWE is up. Okay. So, who knows if that's a Dolph Ziggler? I mean, there's a lot of people they can sign, but for him to say arguably their biggest signing in history, think about the people who've been there: AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. I mean, they're the names that have been in Impact TNA. Kurt Angle. So, if it wasn't Mercedes, it's like who, and it could just be hyperbole, but who else could it be? Drew? That is that big of a name where you can say arguably the biggest free agent signing in history.
I like Drew.
But he wouldn't be there in a week.
Who did you say it was, Matt?
With what?
He didn't say anybody.
TNA, you said who was their biggest?
Oh, I mean, that was what Scott D'Amore said, that the person who's coming in is arguably the biggest signing in history. So when you think about the people who've been under that TNA Impact umbrella, and for him to say that and seeing it's not Mercedes, it looks like it's not. Who else did we just say?
You said Dolph.
I don't think there's a free agent out there that really will fit that bill. That has to be just promoter talk, you know. And it actually kind of irritates me a little bit because I thought only Tony Khan did that nowadays, overhyping things.
We gotta sell. We gotta sell, sir.
They had some huge. TNA had huge signings. Their first huge signing was Kurt Angle, huge. Then Christian. You had Sting, Booker T. You had Kevin Nash. You had Steiner there. I mean, they had a lot of who's walked in and out of TNA. I don't think that anybody that WWE released comes anywhere close to those guys. And that'll be an interesting conversation for us to have later on. I know we're going to get to a fan question about the perception of stars, right? Like, I wonder what generations would consider their top stars. Like, right? Maybe a Dolph Ziggler into today's audience might be as big a name as Kurt Angle was, 20 years ago. But getting back to Trinity, if that's where WWE is where she wants to be, I want her to go where she's going to be the happiest, right? She's going to be reunited to her husband. Yep. I'm sure she still has friends in the company. But kind of wanted Trinity to kind of stay in TNA, right? To be that champion for that brand, right? Because she is probably one of their biggest female signees in a number of years, and I think she's done a great job there. Her going back to WWE, I think she's going to slowly kind of get back into where she was in the past. You think about the pecking order of like, you know, the WWE women's division is going to be stacked.
Yep.
It's going to be stacked really soon. And when you think about Trinity, love her ring work, but she's going to be a little bit further down a lot of those women on that list. I love seeing her be a star, maybe in a smaller pond. Now, as far as like Deanna, I think she's done all she can do in TNA. And
absolutely,
to be quite honest with you.
Absolutely.
So I think the next stage for her, if it's AEW or WWE, would be great for her career because I think it'll rejuvenize her. But Trinity, you know, look, I want her to go where the money is and where she'd be happiest. But just from a selfish fan perspective, I would love to see her lead a new TNA. Now, again, I'm all about her leaving if I turn on TNA and I see them high school 1980s production, because I'm not watching anyway. That's happening. I tried to watch for Trinity, but I couldn't get over that production. So, hey, if she turned on, like, she knows that production is going to still be stank boo-boo, then, hey, I get it. Go and get your money, Miles. I'll see you on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown.
You mentioned Sting. Let's get into the question. We talked about it on last pod. Fonz had asked me watching World's End a question, and we left it for this one. Shout out to everybody who voted in the poll. And I have some comments from X also. If you're not following us, follow us. That's FNW, so you can be a part of the show when we do things like this. My question was, if you missed Sunday's episode, is Sting a top 20 superstar of all time? That was the question. 76% of people said yes. He is a top 20 superstar of all time. 24%, before I get to the comments, react.
I was trying my hardest to live and in action. I was kind of like, Fonz, like, no, dude, like, stop tripping. You know Sting is top 20 of all time. So as he's going down the list, I'm like, So then I had to break it up. I was like, you know what? Let me look at it as Sting before maybe even the PG era, like the olden times, and now the after PG era. And I don't think so for either. For me, and again, full transparency, I don't know anything about Sting except for this AEW run and that quick, like the last year when he was with WWE. So I don't know much about Sting at all. But I was just looking at to just have like a unbiased eye at looking at top 50 wrestlers. And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't put Sting before any of those people. So for me, from me watching from 99, just WWE until now, I had him no on even my before the PG era, and even in totality of my whole fandom watching, I still have him at no. And I feel so sad about it because this run in AEW has been incredible. And he blows my expectation every time I see him in a match and have a big pay-per-view match. But no, for me.
I went yes, because I followed him all throughout his career. That's why I said it'd be interesting to see, like, you know, like the top 20 for someone, if it's like a generational thing, right? Because Rhodesia didn't see a good part of his run, didn't see his TNA run, right? Only seen his WWE and AEW run. And that's only a fraction of his career. So if you haven't seen his entire career, or if it kind of lived through it, you're not going to really appreciate the work that he's done. Absolutely. You know, like, and he was WCW's version of Hulk Hogan back in the day. Like, right, he was actually one of the guys that were like, man, if Vince can get a hold of Sting. And I think back in the day, he tried to get a hold of him. But, you know,
he did, yeah.
If WWE, if the machine can get a hold of Sting, wow, he'd be on another level. He was that guy. Then he rejuvenated his career with the Crow gimmick that he still kind of uses today. And that was box office back in the day. Then he did it again in TNA. I think you guys both missed that run where he actually became more than just a gimmick. He became a great talker. He was able to cut good stories. He just became like a different entity, and then this old man Sting run has been phenomenal. Definitely, he's in the top 20. I'm not sure where I will place him, but he definitely will be in the top 20 if you look at the totality of his career and you look at all the honors that he's had.
Couple comments on the poll. Before I get to the comments, when he asked me that initially on Saturday, the word he used was wrestler. So we got in a big kind of discussion on, you guys know I'm really literal, right? So when I wanted to present this on the pod and to you, the listeners, I wanted to change the word wrestler to superstar. He had an issue with it because he's like, oh, that's semantics. And I'm like, no, because if I was to say, is Sting a top 20 wrestler of all time, somebody's mind could go to some of the best technicians we've ever had in wrestling and say they could wrestle circles around Sting. So I wanted to pull that word out and say, okay, well, let's go with superstar. If the question was, as his nickname is Icon, absolutely. Everybody knows the blonde beach, colorful face paint Sting.
Not everybody know.
I don't.
The majority.
But again, that's when was that? What year will you put that at?
Oh, you're talking 90s.
Okay, so that's over 25
actually
years
80s,
ago.
90s.
No, that was late 80s till 96.
Because he switched to the Crow gimmick when NWO was hot. And he ran an entire year of not saying one word and beating down the NWO, which got them to Hogan and Sting at Starrcade, which the match sucked and was horrible, but that's a whole nother conversation. Couple comments. Our guy Chill Blinton on Twitter.
I got some names
Love
on
that
y'all.
name. He said, straight ability wise, probably not. But at this point, it would be hard to leave Sting out of a top 20, taking his longevity and impact into consideration. He said WCW's Hogan, mega business as Crow Sting, helped TNA through a few years, Federation run, and then amazing final AEW run. Our guy Dominic, a fellow Warrior wrestling alumni. What's up, Dom?
Hey, Dom.
He said, I have to say yes, because he became the workhorse and face of the WCW brand. He is always compared to Undertaker in that way. He's also reinvented himself multiple times and went on to main event in WCW, WWE, although short-lived, TNA, and now AEW. Our guy Firefly Red Wolf, he said, I'm on the fence with that answer. Never cared for him in the main, I think, what was he in Main Event Mafia, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He said, I'd have him in the top 20 outside of WWE, maybe, but all time, no. And then our guy Steven said, Sting was an icon to the wrestling industry, was in every major promotion minus New Japan. Brought intrinsic value, impact, knowledge to every promotion, without question, top 20. Awesome stuff there. So the majority is saying yes. And this may be a cheat. Saturday night, I was like, no, because I started naming off people that I thought was better than Sting. And then I kind of reverted back to, they have already sold 13,000 seats for Revolution on the back of this is Sting's retirement match. Who could sell out an arena based upon their retirement match? And some of the people that I had above Sting can't do it. And then when we talked about this earlier today, I'm like, you know what? This is probably a fantastic episode for us to do. So as much as I hate not having an answer, right now my answer is NA. I don't know. But what we're going to do here in a couple weeks, is we're going to do a top 20 episode. And we're going to bring our top 20 wrestlers of all time.
Superstars or wrestlers? Because when I hear wrestlers, I think of technical wrestling.
Superstars.
Okay.
Your top 20.
Rhodesia, I feel like we couldn't get away with doing an NA. I know for a fact a couple times.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, no.
That's a lie. To do an NA, and you wouldn't let her.
Nah. There's been so many times, where we'll do something, and you'll be like, I don't know. And then we got to move on. So this is my I don't know. This is my first one out of 96 episodes.
Because you're probably on the fence too.
Bill.
You're probably on the fence too. Which one is easier to get over? No or yay? Are you a naysayer?
My original answer was he's not. But when you start thinking about because I'm big into like I said, the iconic piece,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hogan, Austin, Rock, Cena, Flair.
Michael.
I would put Warrior because everybody knows Ultimate Warrior. And there's a couple more. Now I'll stop there because we're going to do the top 20 episode here in a couple weeks. So I'm already at like 6 or 7. I would have to really sit down and kind of think through, because that's not including your Kurt Angles. It's not including your Eddie Guerreros. It's also not including your Charlotte Flairs. That's also not including your Brock Lesnar's. So when you look at top 20 of all time, it's going to be really fun to hear our top 20s. And of course, if you are listening, feel free, send in your top 20 list. If you don't want to do 20, you want to do 10, do that. You can leave it on our YouTube at That's Freakin' Wrestling, leave it on our X, leave it on our Instagram, however you want to. And we will absolutely share all that when we do the episode. And we'll let you guys know, but it'll probably be in a couple weeks when we do that.
Hey,
episode.
man, I got another debate for us, too. I kind of agree with Fonz on this one. I think there's definitely a difference between a pro wrestler and a superstar.
No, we know that. That's what we argue.
He said it wasn't. And I'm like, no, it is.
I don't know if Sting's been a superstar his entire career, because that's a WWE entertainer type of a term.
That's what
That
he
wasn't
said.
what they did. That wasn't what they did in NWA and WCW for a long time.
But would you agree that saying superstar, if I would have said wrestler, if I would have said Sting a top 20 wrestler of all time, I think these numbers may look a little different. And that was my point of using the word superstar, because superstar can equate to that iconic thing we just talked about. Even if you read some of these comments, a lot of it was about the runs that he had and just how big Sting was. It was not about he had classic matches and he did 5-star matches anytime. It was nothing about that. It was about, oh, this is Sting. He's had runs in every single promotion. His look is iconic. He completely flipped his gimmick and character and got over even more than what he was doing the majority of his career. And then we didn't even get to Joker Sting in Impact, which I saw some of that stuff, which was fantastic. And now what he's doing in AEW, but nobody mentioned anything about incredible matches in every promotion or anything about wrestling. It was about just the super. So that's why I wanted to use that word.
I think a pro wrestler has to have you have to be able to be an entertainer, right? That's something that's been around for a long time. I think there's, if you want to say a wrestler, right? I think like a Dan Severn, like he wasn't a pro wrestler. He was just a straight up wrestler that was boring. Like, right. Like, but I think that, to be a pro wrestler, there has to be shades of entertainment into what you do in order to be successful, I would say.
So then one we brought up, and we can move on. I know we want to talk about Patrick Clark, aka Velveteen Dream. Chavo Guerrero, incredible wrestler, a better wrestler than Sting by far. Ain't many people gonna put Chavo Guerrero over Sting in a top 20 superstar list, or would you?
I would not.
He wasn't a better pro wrestler because he wasn't as entertaining. And, and here's the thing, I gotta be honest with you, I didn't like his wrestling ability that much either. I thought he was boring. I thought Chavo. That's a bad one for me. I thought Chavo was boring in the ring and out of the ring.
Well, he was really good with Eddie when they were doing a live cheat steal.
That was his best.
But yeah, I knew he could run. Like I knew he was great. You can just see somebody and say like, man, they're great at this. But he wasn't my cup of tea.
Nah, he was boring.
But I could never say Sting was a better wrestler bell to bell than Chavo Guerrero.
But here, that's the thing. I think it's another question of another style. I think it's also about styles too, right? Because were you engaged in his matches, right? And you think about Hulk Hogan, you wouldn't say Hulk Hogan was a better wrestler, right? Correct. But was his matches entertaining or not? And that's what pro wrestling was. It was about the entertainment factor. Even those guys back in the day, it's about entertaining the fans, and they weren't using the quote unquote WWF and E superstar quotation things, but that's what they did, was they entertained the crowd. So maybe another topic. Maybe we need to figure out another topic.
We need to figure out on our top 20 if we're going to define the word first, or if we're going to just do it based off of our interpretation of it.
Do it based on your interpretation off of superstar. If superstar was a real thing. Your point, yes, is valid. Only WWE says that. But I just want to make sure that we change it to just not in ring, just not bell to bell. Just actually the overall, like overall.
So that is
I get what you mean. It is
that
semantics.
is the definition.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah. Yep. All right, E. What you got with Velveteen Dream? I watched the majority of his apology video. So just kind of set it up and what you wanted to bring up, and I think you saw it, right?
Oh, I watched the video. I watched it a couple of times after the link that you sent.
Okay.
Didn't actually know I was leading this one, so I didn't actually have anything primed up for it though. But the gist was that Velveteen Dream today released a 4 to almost 5 minute apology video, and he really just recapped a lot of the trials and tribulations he's had over the past couple of years. I'm not sure if you guys have seen some of the videos that he's putting on the past couple of years, and he's made a lot of accusations to other people, wrestlers, etc. He's been in and out of the news for the wrong things. And I don't know, a couple of years ago, some kind of gym issue he had and wouldn't leave or something or another. And, it's been well documented the troubles that he had in NXT before leaving the company. But essentially today, I'm not sure why today, but he released a video apologizing to WWE, apologizing to Paul Levesque, Triple H, HBK, Shawn Michaels, the fans, the fan base. And I thought it was very interesting. To me, it seems like this is a guy that's all right. Look, hey, I want to get back in the wrestling business, and I need to figure out a way to do that. And so he released a video, and he's looking to not only release the video, he wants to get on a couple. He wants to do the interview circuit, and he's put out there that he wants to be asked the hard and the soft questions, and he wants to answer to anything that he's done in the past, and he's ready to move on in a productive way. And if that's the case, kudos to him. Matt, did you see the apology video? I know you posted it.
Yeah, like I said, I watched the majority of it. Let me start with, no matter what somebody's done, I feel like they deserve forgiveness. So let me stop there, and that's a period. I saw a lot of people today, and I think it speaks more about them than it does whatever it is that somebody's apologizing for. Oh, he can go to hell with his apology. Nope, he's not forgiven. And I am not saying what he has been accused of, because it was stuff with, like, I think an underage boy at one point. It was some things about, I think, him videotaping like wrestlers from a bathroom. I may be getting that mixed up, so let me take that off of him.
That was right. It was Santino.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever.
No, EC3.
EC3. All horrible behavior. But if we get to a point in society that if somebody has changed and they're held to what they've done and they've changed, then we're doomed. We're absolutely doomed. Now, is it convenient? The timing of it? Sure. But I don't care if he's changed. I don't care that it's Royal Rumble season and I've given my apologies to my former bosses and to my fans. But he also didn't apologize to kind of the direct people that he potentially hurt or that he did hurt. Now, he did come out and say that he is available for interviews. No questions are off limits, and he expects the hard questions. So maybe that's why he didn't speak about any specifics in that video, because, hey, if I know I'm about to be doing a plethora of interviews and I'm going to be as transparent as I can be and need to be to show people that I've changed and that I'm a different person, then that kind of makes sense. But if you were to watch that video and you have no idea what he's done,
you don't know what he's talking about.
You'd be like, okay, well, what'd you do? What happened? So that's kind of where I'm at with it, is, okay, let's see what comes out of these next interviews that he does. Let's see how he tackles it, And then let's also see what his behavior is now going forward. And we'll be able to tell, I think, pretty quick if he's truly changed or not.
There's really nothing else to say about that. When I watched the video, which I did in its entirety, I was like, well, he didn't apologize to the actual people that he hurt, like directly. But you make a good point. If he's open for interviews, I would imagine that he'll be able to address them then. I think it was needed. I think that he should have apologized to the people he worked for and his family, which he did. And I give him props for that. Anytime someone does something wrong, Matt, like you were mentioning, people have an ability to rehabilitate themselves and they should be forgiven. I do believe that everybody should have the right to give an apology. So it was just something I think that was needed. If I was his family member or his friend, I probably would have felt like it was heartfelt. Let's just see what he does next. Let's see if he answers these questions direct. And we know he wants to get back into wrestling. I mean, I can't speak for him, but that's what it looks like. All signs point that he wants to get back into the wrestling world. So if he has rehabilitated himself, if he did do the things that he was accused of doing, he deserves forgiveness, depending on those levels. Like you said, again, I'm gonna probably just end it there because there are certain things that I will always forgive you for. I think that we're not the judge in this world. Some other entity can judge us. So some things I just feel like are kind of a little bit too dirty, like you need to rot in hell. But we don't know. And all I can do is take this man for his word and for his apology and then see if his behavior improves.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that's a tough one for me. I am a person, I'm a forgiving person, but there are certain things I can't excuse. Right?
Excuse is the word I was looking for, yeah.
Certain things I can't excuse. I understand. I can accept an apology, but sometimes, like, hey, I appreciate you apologizing, but it's not the same. Like, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I am with certain things, right? Let's talk about Velveteen Dream for a moment. I know Matt and I were really hot on this guy years ago, right? We thought he had all the tools.
I thought he was the future of WWE.
You talking about a superstar, right? Because that really applies to what we thought he was going to be, that next future superstar. We thought he had the charisma, we had the look, he was good in the ring. We just thought like, hey, what is this dude still doing in NXT, right? And it seems like he was one of the guys, he got in his own way, right? Let's just be honest with you. He seemed like to be an immature young guy, right?
Himself.
He was a party boy. He had substance problems. He failed a couple of drug tests, right? So if he's gotten his life together, if he's a little bit more mature now, like, right, if he's got his problems taken care of, then by all means, let's give the guy a second chance. Now, here's the other flip of the coin. The accusations and the things that we have heard about the man. He's never been, there was a, investigation from the police to WWE, and he's never been found guilty of any of the accusations, right? So we don't know. And that's the thing about the internet and people, right? We've said this man is guilty of things that we don't know. We don't have the details or all the details, right? I'm also going to go a little deeper. I'm going to say this is a black man, young, cocky black man being investigated by the police, and he wasn't found guilty of anything. Maybe there's some things that we're missing. We don't have the full story. So we can't sit here and say that we're the judge without actually having the facts. We need to stop doing that as a society without having all the facts ready to hang somebody and just destroy their entire livelihood over some things that we don't even know about. Like, right? If you are in that position, you will want people to know the full story before they take away your career, right? Your livelihood. You will want that same respect. And so as people and individuals and wrestling fans, we gotta want better for ourselves, for other people. We don't know Dream's situation. We know that the dude had party issues. We know he had maturity issues. So let's speak to that, right? So let's hope that now he has taken the necessary changes. Because look, he's young. I'm sure that he's not the first person to be a party guy and have maturity issues and have fame and things go to their head, right? Shawn Michaels was one. Like, he's my favorite wrestler in the world. His issues have been well documented. And look what he's able to do now, right? Let's hope that Velveteen can make the same changes and he can get his career back, because his career seemed so bright years ago.
Yep, man, if those takeovers, his performances, from his outfits to his interests to the matches.
And he told stories in his wrestling match, and to be so young to be able to do that, and we don't see that often with people. to have that ability. Man, I do miss him in the wrestling
Now,
world.
if he's a scumbag, he's a scumbag, right?
Yeah.
The hell with your wrestling ability.
Yeah,
But
riding hell.
right, let's see. Let's see. This is definitely one of those. Let's stay tuned. There's more that's gonna be coming out. More to be revealed. I am absolutely sure on that. So there you go. All right, guys, we're right about an hour and 10 minutes, so we up out of here. I think we hit everything we need to hit. Did everything we need to do. Left you guys with some awesome, fantastic content. Again, do us a favor. Get on them socials. Give us a follow. Wherever you listen to your podcast, follow us. Leave us a 5-star review, comments, all that kind of good stuff. Helps grow our podcast. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about who knows what. At this rate, we may have confirmation that it's going to be Rock and Roman next Friday on SmackDown. Mercedes may show up to AEW, somehow get fired or get in a fight, and then she shows up on SmackDown
Number
Friday.
30.
Who knows in
number 30
2024 what in the world can happen, but we'll be here to talk you guys all the way through it. Thank you guys for listening, and we will be back on Sunday. See you then.